Good morning, my friends. I hope you are having a good week so far, and thank you for joining us today for our Bible reflection this morning. And today we start a new book. We moved on from, we've been looking at Judges for the last few days. Now we're looking on to the first book of Samuel, which kind of picks it up from the end of Judges. First Samuel and Second Samuel are great books with some great characters in there. We've got Samuel, we've got Saul, we've got David, some Goliath, some great characters in there. So it's going to be really enjoy the next few days. But today we are in First Samuel and chapter 1. So without further ado, here we go. 1 Samuel chapter 1. There was a certain man of Ramathaim, a Zuphite, from the hill country of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. He had two wives. The name of the one was Hannah, the name of the other Peninnah. Peninnah had children, Hannah had no children. Now this man used to go up year by year from his town to worship and to sacrifice to the Lord of hosts at Shiloh, where the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were priests of the Lord. On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give portions to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters, but to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her, though the Lord had closed her womb. Her rival used to provoke her severely to irritate her because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year. As often as they went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. Her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? Why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons? After they'd eaten and drunk at Shiloh, Hannah rose and presented herself before the Lord. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat beside the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. She made this vow, O Lord of hosts, if only you will look on the misery of your servant and remember me, and do not forget your servant, but I will give to your servant a male child, and I will set him before you as a Nazarite until the day of his death. He shall drink neither wine nor intoxicants, and no razor shall touch his head. As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying silently, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, How long will you make a drunken spectacle of yourself? Put away your wine. But Hannah answered, No, my lord, I am a woman deeply troubled. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman, for I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation all this time. Then Eli answered, Go in peace. The God of Israel grant the petition you have made to him. And she said, Let your servant find favor in your sight. And the woman went to her quarters, ate and drank with her husband, and her countenance was sad no longer. They rose early in the morning and worshipped before the Lord. And they went back to their house at Ramah. Elkanah knew his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. In due time Hannah conceived and bore a son. She named him Samuel, for she said, I have asked him of the Lord. The man Elkanah and all his household went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifice and to pay his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, As soon as the child is weaned, I'll bring him, that he may appear in the presence of the Lord and remain there forever. I will offer him as a Nazarite for all time. Her husband Elkanah said to her, Do what seems best to you. Wait until you've weaned him. Only may the Lord establish his word. So the woman remained and nursed her son, and she weaned him. When she'd weaned him, she took him along with her, along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour, and a skin of wine. She brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh, and the child was young. And they slaughtered the bull and brought the child to Eli. And she said, O my Lord, as you live, my Lord, I am the woman who is standing here in your presence, praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me the petition that I made to him. Therefore I have lent him to the Lord as long as he lives, and he is given to the Lord. And this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Okay, it's a great human story, this, much as anything. You have this man Elkanah, this man who you get the impression kind of tries to do the decent thing, and he has two wives. Almost certainly Hannah was the first one. Hannah's the one he truly loved, but she couldn't have children. And he also had Peninnah, who he didn't love as much, but she was good at having children. And so in a sense, you've got the story here of two wives, both of whom feel inadequate. One feels inadequate because she can't give children to her husband. And the other one feels inadequate because she can give kids, but she doesn't feel loved. And so you've got a story, and it's a recipe for some serious jealousy, which kind of goes on here. Very similar to what you get also between Sarah and Hagar in the book of Genesis, Abraham's wife and her concubine and so on. You get a story, you get some serious jealousy, which kind of goes on here. But I think what's really interesting about this are kind of the characters. You have Elkanah, who's got these two. I mean, he's a typical bumbling, insensitive bloke. When Hannah's upset because she can't have kids, his response is, "Aren't I more important to you than 10 children?" It's a typical sort of male response here. You know, listen up a bit, mate, on that one. And then you've got Hannah. And Hannah is, I mean, Peninnah kind of, you get the jealousy at the beginning, but she kind of disappears from the story a bit. Hannah is a remarkable example of faith. She's desperate that she wants a child, and she believes very much that God has closed her womb. And then she goes on this trip with her husband one year, and she meets Eli. And what's great about her is her faith. She gets prayed for by Eli, eventually, come to that in a minute. She gets prayed by Eli, and then she believes God, and she trusts God that this is going to happen. And against all the odds, she believes, and she goes back, and her countenance, it says her countenance was sad no more, it says in verse 18. In other words, she kind of takes it on faith that she's going to conceive, and she duly does. And having made a vow to God that she'd make this child of hers a Nazarite, and that he wouldn't drink alcohol, and he presented to the Lord, and so on and so on and so on, that's exactly what she does. So notice here, in the case of Hannah, the wonderful faith she has. Feel when she's at the temple the depth of her prayer, that she's pouring out her soul before God. And haven't we all been that place when we're really desperate about something or somebody or something, and we agonize before God? And here we have, you know, when she's in the temple, she's so full of prayer that nothing comes out of her mouth, and she kind of prays and agonizes. And there's quite a few of those in the Bible when you get Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and a few, you know, and he prays so much that he sweated blood, you know. And here you've got Hannah, you know, who's really agonizing before God. And so notice here the prayer and the faith of Hannah. Notice the depth of her prayer, the fact that she believes God when she's told that she's going to give birth, and having made a promise to God, she fulfills it. So look, when you see Hannah, look at her wonderful faith, look at her prayer, look at her faith, and look at the way she goes through with the vow. So let's look at Hannah. The second bloke, which I think is fascinating, good old Eli. I mean, bless him, as you find out later, he's overweight, he's old, he's blind. He's also a terrible father, as we'll discover, because it says earlier on that these two sons of his, Hophni and Phinehas, who we find out later, are complete sort of arrogant sluggards, really. And so this guy Eli, and bless him, I mean, he gets it horribly wrong. And they've got this poor woman who's agonizing with prayer, and he thinks she's drunk. I mean, it's absolutely typical, but also typical of Eli, bless him, because we've all done that. I mean, I've had people come to me talk about things before, and I've got it horribly wrong, and we all do sometimes. And I'm sure I'm old, overweight and whatever as well. And I've put my glasses more often these days. We've all kind of been there. And so Eli is a wonderfully flawed character, and yet he gets it wrong first, but then when he gets it right. And the same thing happens in a couple of chapters' time as well, when he comes back later as well, with Samuel, as you will discover. So I love Eli, really. As I say, this decidedly flawed character, but who gets it wrong, but then through God, he gets it right in the end. So this is Eli, and you come across him again in a couple of chapters' time as well. So yeah, so you've got Hannah with her wonderful faith, and you've got Eli, who's a man of faith, but he's kind of a bit of a bumbling idiot, really. But he gets there in the end. And I guess the fact that he can get it wrong, he's a bumbling priest, gets it wrong, but he gets it right eventually. I think it's hope for the rest of us. But I think the third thing you want to get from this, really, from this story, is that in the Bible, a childless woman giving birth unexpectedly is code that God is doing something exciting here. So you got the same thing with Sarah, wife of Abraham, who was 99 years old and couldn't have children, and then she unexpectedly gives birth. In the book of Judges, we had Samson's parents unexpectedly giving birth. We have it here with Hannah unexpectedly giving birth. It's always a symbol that God is doing something great, that God is bringing new life and something amazing. And in this case, of course, it is the birth of Samuel. And let's not forget, of course, when it comes to the birth of Jesus, the great thing there is we get two of them. Because you get John the Baptist, whose mother Elizabeth cannot give birth, but then she does in a story which is worthy biblical in itself, in the Bible itself. But then followed up by Jesus, and his mother wasn't just somebody who was child; she was actually a virgin birth, and so you get the unexpectedly births is always a sign in the Bible that God is doing something new. God is doing something spectacular. It happens as with Sarah, it happened with Samson's parents, happened with Hannah here, and of course with the coming of Jesus, we don't get one, we get two of them, so it's even more spectacular, and we get a virgin birth there as well. So the fact that Hannah gives birth unexpectedly, that God unlocks her womb and she gives birth to this, is a sign that God is doing something new. So what this is code for is, listen up, something fantastic is going on here, which we will discover throughout the book of Samuel. Friends, I hope that's made some sense to you. God bless you. We will enjoy 1st and 2nd Samuel. That's a great read, some great stories in there, as we will discover. Have a lovely day, my friends. Thank you for watching. God bless. Do share this message with your friends, as always, and enjoy your Thursday. God bless.